What happened to the most attractive person in your HS/college? Story 1, housewife. She married a rich older guy, but not that old. Here's that she is content. No social media, but meets up with her closest school friends often. So we get her updates secondhand. She has always been humble and nice, and looks like she is still that way. Story 2. I had a huge crush on the best-looking guy in our school. He was always friendly with me, too. But anytime we were talking, and his teammate best friend came across us, the friend would start mocking, insulting me. It was so overt my sister suggested the friend had a secret crush on me, because why else was he so obsessed with teasing, insulting me for no reason? Yeah, ... It wasn't me he had the crush on. Apparently my crush and his teammate friend are now in a relationship. No clue if it started in high school or after. Story 3. We had a guy who looked like an actual Greek god, star athlete, the works. Fucking Adonis actual. He bulked up even more after HS joined the police force and eventually the SWAT team. He lost his godly hair and is completely bald, but the look works just fine with his physique. Story 4. Parents bought him a house after college graduation. He works as a CPA now. He even offers to help me out during tax season. I was the only person who treated him like a human rather than somebody who is rich and asking/trying to use him for things. Story 5. She was the best-looking girl in school. I'm not the best-looking guy, but we became friends in grade 11. She said she didn't want to date anyone, but at the end of grade 11, we started casually dating. Fast forward 15 years. We own a house, are married, have 2 awesome dogs, and are trying for kids. As far as I'm concerned, she's only gotten better looking. Story 6. I thought she was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen day 1 of 7th grade. Not sure where others ranked her, but she was clearly near the top in our HS class. We became friends. She's super sweet and nice. She is a professional actor cast member in Orlando. Let's put it this way, she's played every Caucasian Disney princess at the park, plus a bunch of other song and dance gigs there too. She's also in a very famous photo of Fabio, the model. She's the one comforting him. Story 7. I find this question personally so fun. I ended up with one of the popular, attractive guys from my HS. Not the most, but this is a good story. We ended up having a kid, and then he proved to be the biggest loser alive. He beat me, so I left when our kid was 2. He is the town drunk, in and out of jail, beat his next 3 GFs, was on the front page of the town paper for stealing a car and so many more things. My son and I see his immediate family. He does not. Our son is an adult and hasn't seen him in decades. He's better off. My son is a very successful adult. My ex is the epitome of the hometown hero. Boy, did I win a prize by landing him. Story 8. Wendy S. I had the good fortune, if you will, of having my last name be very close to hers. So I had 4 years of sitting by her in homeroom, and in a few classes we shared as well. Knew her barely. Nice girl, and was of the well-to-do background as well. So she did what one would expect. She went to college, married well, and then divorced some years ago. I don't know when. She lives in one of the nicer suburbs of DFW, and from the various Facebook postings I see, seems to live a life of independent means and lots of travel. Also has a lake house as well. She's very Christian, yet will still post the occasional thirst trap type photo online. Nothing too risque, but enough to let us know that at the age of 60 she still has it. Lives a pretty enviable life on the surface. Story 9. There wasn't a single most attractive person. There were, however, a whole bunch of posers who thought they were hot as F***CT. They are all still living in my hometown and have ordinary jobs, nothing special. Saw them once in a dance cafe here about 14 years ago, and they were awkward as asterisk and saying things like, OMG, we almost didn't recognize you. You've gotten a lot prettier. Yikes. Story 10. She became a doctor and married her college sweetheart. I think she started a free clinic for the underserved community nearby where we grew up. Edit. I also want to add that she was super sweet and nice. When people used to make fun of me saying I could never get a girlfriend, she stepped in and said if she was single, she would totally date me because I was kind and geeky. And that shut the bullies up. Story 11. Oh, well, the who in this case is quite subjective, but I think there were 2 people who stood out in our class from high school, both women. Person 1, she dumped her BF, then went and married a preacher. Then, not long after the wedding, she dipped out and lived in another state for a while. He ended up divorcing her due to infidelity and abandonment. It fucked his career up for a while, and it really messed with his head. He was a really good person when I knew him. That was at least 15 years ago. Person 2. She moved back to the town she lived in when she was young, never went to college, drank herself into oblivion, never had kids from what I'm aware of. Every so often, Facebook asks if I know this person, and I click the profile to see what she's been up to. which is mostly nothing, plus alcohol and drugs. Honestly, not many people in my class went on to do much with their lives. Story 12. It's always interesting to see how people change over time. The most attractive person in my high school was this really popular guy-girl who seemed to have it all together. After graduation, they went on to pursue a career in modeling/acting/whatever fits the story. They actually achieved quite a bit of success and were featured in several magazines/films/shows. However, a few years down the line, they decided to shift gears. They went back to school and got a degree in a different field, and now they're working as a new profession. From what I see on social media, they seem genuinely happy and fulfilled with their new path. It's a reminder that looks and popularity in high school don't define your future, and people can evolve in unexpected ways. Story 13. So the hottest dude dated the hottest woman. After she dumped him, he went and joined the Navy SEALs and ended up a team leader or whatever that position is called. We always joked that her boobs broke him, that after they broke up, he needed to go murk warlords in far corners of the globe to cope with the loss of those sublime gazongas. She's doing fine last I checked. They were both always very nice. Story 14. No idea, don't care. I was never part of that crowd anyway. But there was a girl at my kid's high school who, the first time I saw her at their awards day ceremony, my jaw literally dropped. She was a grade ahead of my eldest kid, and she was absolutely beautiful and had this aura that was simply magnetic. I asked my son about her, and he said she was considered the prettiest and most popular girl at their school, and that in fact, she just recently won their high school beauty pageant. She served as a Miss Alabama Outstanding Teen, and later went on to become the first Black Miss University of Alabama, then was crowned Miss Alabama, and finished in the top 7 in the 2020 Miss America pageant. I think she's in law school now. So as far as how she turned out, I'd have to say not too bad. Story 15. The most popular one from middle school still looks good in her early 40s and is a nurse. 2 other ones from high school gained a lot of weight and lost their looks. One works in a government agency, and I don't know anything about the other one. I saw her at the supermarket once. Story 16. They turned out to be a manipulative attention seeker that led on and used so many men and ruined so many people's relationships. I loved her. She thought of me as a tool. Found that one out after 4 years of thinking of her as the one, and I was just one of many. She is currently playing with her new toys and seems to be happy and doing great. I'm damaged, and yet my brain still wants her. Story 17. He's got a good job and a girlfriend, but his personality revolves around him being the biggest catch that any girl would be lucky to have. I'm legitimately worried he subdued his GF's personality so much that she's a shell of what she used to be to conform to his narrative. I beg people to live in reality, not their own head. Story 18. We had 2 brothers 3 years apart, great-looking, smart, funny, homecoming kings, muscular, sports, the whole caboodle. Both are dead. It's wild. One heart attack and the other not sure. Some kind of extended illness. Brutal. That being said, there is zero rhyme or reason as to who became successful in my HS class. HS matters even less than you thought. Persistence and a lot of luck seems way more important. Story 19. Most attractive popular girl in our class. She was popular because she was hot. She was always kind of snobby, not money snobby, but think, leader chick of the mean girls bitchy. I moved out of my hometown, went to college, lived in a few different states after HS. Then, about 12 years later, I was visiting my hometown and ran into her as our waitress at a bar. Bar was a hole in the wall, and definitely didn't get much business even for the bartender, but she was a waitress and just a waitress there. Not a bartender or anything extra. I guess she has 4 kids now with a couple different baby daddies and isn't living the best life. She really let herself go and definitely peaked in HS. Story 20. She was so beautiful and I was so in love with her. She was in the top 5% of our class academically. Cheer captain, played softball, just an all-around great person. She didn't know I existed until we both ended up working together at BK our senior year. We became friends, but I never told her how infatuated I was with her. I joined the Navy and left for boot camp. Came home a couple years later to find out she'd been diagnosed with MS and passed away at 19. Story 21. Well, I married her and then set about on the process of building a comfortable future for us and our kids. Apparently, she wasn't on board with that direction, and since she was such a hottie, she had no problems entertaining herself while I was working. If you know what I mean. That was 20 years ago. She's on husband number 3 now and went from 105 pounds to 240. Arguably the most precipitous decline of any human I know. I went on to marry another really attractive girl. Worked out much better this time. Story 22. He joined an international soccer team and had attempted a rap career after, but it seems to have never took off. Another one used to only date the hottest gals. Dated one of my friend at one point and realized how vain and selfish she was. He was the first guy to break up with her, and she was devastated BC no guy had ever broken up with her before. He ended up marrying a not-so-pretty gal, so I often wonder how bad she was that made him go from hot frat boy to marrying a humble normal girl. Story 23, I'm not sure. She was a foreign exchange student. She was one of the nicest girls I had ever met at the time, and she looked like a mix of Megan Fox and Adriana Lima. For some reason, the girls seemed to avoid her, so I tried to be nice. There was another girl who was really pretty, sought after by men and women alike, and I think she was interested in me, but I was intimidated, so I became distant. Story 24. Don't know. I didn't care about them then, and I certainly don't now. The attractive people were dicks and made my life hell. I hope they all do minimum wage sewer work now. I'm sure they're fine. Edit. Wait. No. I forgot about the guy who would actually qualify as the most attractive, and he was never awful to me. We never really interacted, but he seemed like a super nice dude, always kind to people and has a genuine smile. He ended up in a high-level exec position at our high school. I saw him at my nephew's graduation, and he still looks fantastic. Story 25. The most popular and good-looking guy in my high school actually took me to prom and dated me for a year. He was also extremely nice and one of those people that could get along with anyone. Did I lose my high school best friend over this? Yes. I met this guy through my friend. They had traveled to the DR along with some other people in our year to build homes for the poor, and when they all came back, him and some other kids started hanging out with us regularly. I had suspected she had developed a crush on him along with me, and I spoke to her about it. She assured me she didn't have a crush on him. I knew it was a lie, and then got very mad and talked badly about me behind my back when we, the guy and I, started dating. She even told the guy that I knew about her crush and didn't care about her feelings. The guy, bless him, told her very nicely that although she has feelings for him, he would have still chosen me over her because we simply had a lot more in common and better chemistry. Eventually, it took a summer, my friend and I started talking again, and we're back to being friends. Anyway, a year later in college, he cheated on me and is now a doctor in England, and I'm happily married with a little family of my own, 11 years strong. Edit. As an adult, I now recognize that I shouldn't have dated this guy knowing my friend had feelings for him even though she denied them. But as a horny teenager, I was not thinking about that at all. Story 26. She married an attractive and well-off guy and had 5 beautiful kids and is now a stay-at-home mom lifestyle influencer on Egg. She throws these elaborate themed parties for all of the kids with handcrafted decorations. I had to unfollow. It was getting too cringe witnessing myself react to their perfect life. Story 27. She appears to be winning at life, in her marriage, as a mom. All of it. She's super into horticulture and paddleboarding and staying active. And at 34, she looks almost the same as she did back in high school. I was blessed to call her one of my good friends, and I'll always root for her. Story 28. She started dating a professor much older than her when she was working on a PhD and married him. She now teaches at a university, and they lead quiet intellectual lives. She was and is so gorgeous she is literally somewhat of a local celebrity, but apparently doesn't want to be. Her father was also one of the wealthiest men in our city. I thought about this. He had a lot of money, so he married the most beautiful woman he could find, and all their children were beautiful. Her younger sister became a judge, and their brother was gay and moved to France. Story 29, LOL. Every single one of the hot females, who were also coincidentally mean girls, went on to have kids to deadbeats, aka the other attractive popular boys in my HS. The men grew up to become functional alcoholics who peaked in their reserve-grade rugby era. The women are uneducated and unfulfilled, either in the family business, plumbers, tilers, electricians, etc., or homemakers schlepping brats to school in their Toyota Land Cruisers. Karma is a beautiful thing. Story 30. This post is perfect timing because I just ran into the hottest guy from my high school this past weekend. Star athlete, recruited to Ivy League, smart and hot, and hadn't seen him in a decade. Turns out he is now engaged to his stepsister, so that was really out of left field. Cue porn jokes. Story 31. Haven't seen anyone since my 10th high school reunion. Back then, we had superlatives like most beautiful and most handsome. She, 10 years later, was an overweight housewife. He worked for a waste disposal company. I was the wallflower, shy girl from back then, and got comments like, "Wow, you look great." I'd come into my own by then. Better fashion sense, hair and makeup, more confident. Not saying I didn't wish those popular pretty people well, but it was nice. Never went to another reunion. Story 32. Last. I heard the hottest girl from my high school was successful in her goal to attend the college for rich kids in our state to, as she put it, get her MSRS. The guy all the girls wanted turned down multiple D1 football offers to focus on pre-med and is now a very successful doctor. College had way too many people to keep track of, much less know who was the hottest. Story 33. She's in real estate, has 4 kids by 3 dads that she's no longer with, but seems to be doing okay. He became a dirtbag cop. He works on a college campus, and I hear he sleeps with the young girls who call on their boyfriends for domestic issues. He was with this girl from HS for almost 20 years, but I heard they cheated on each other constantly. He's bald now, which is really satisfying. Story 34. At a reunion, I noticed most of the cool guys turned out to losers. They arrived underdressed for the formal catering hall and with a plain-looking wife date, whereas the nerdy guys were well-dressed with a hot woman on their arm. This likely had to do with they went for higher education and good jobs. I'm Facebook friends with the most beautiful girl from high school, and she now looks nice, but nothing special. She now looks similar to many of us from our graduating class. Story 35. Both never left the small town we grew up in. Guy inherited his father's business and runs it. Gal married someone who inherited his father's business. They're not married to each other. But I'm not saying they don't have rich, meaningful lives. I'm sure they do. They just never left. It was probably too comfortable. Story 36. She was a cheerleader, state champion gymnast, grade A student, and a raging alcoholic. Her family was super conservative and strict, and she rebelled accordingly. She moved to Florida, became a pharmaceutical rep, married an older, richer version of her father, and now spends her time self-medicating, tanning her leathery hide, and attending Trump rallies.